was like 6, I used to take the GO train all the time, and my favorite part of going was looking at all the graffiti on the train all the way down. And I remember like after the game coming back, I would always like try to like, see through the glass, try to see if I could see it still, but I could never see it because it was too dark, right? But that's what got me into graffiti. I loved it since I was like 6 years old.
I did it like playing around as a kid, like nothing too serious, like probably just like under a bridge painting Wu-Tang symbols. And then kind of chilled on it for a while, and then I met the big homie here, and he kind of brought me back into it, showed me some stuff that I didn't know anything about, and then from there it became like a sick obsession.
The other one here, Shadow, something to watch. I like that. So you shit out here? Yeah.
Everybody starts off the same way, in my opinion. You gotta get your tag and get that perfected, and then you gotta get your throw up, get that perfected, and then you gotta work your way up into like doing pieces and burners and whatever. But then once you're in that category of doing like pieces and burners, then the next big question is style. And style translates in so many different ways. It's unbelievable. For the first couple years of painting, for me, it was just like white fill, black outline. And the reason for that is just to work on just your letter structure and just be good at doing letters and don't worry about color for now. But then once you get into doing colors and fills and whatever, I mean, there's so many, even just that has so many different aspects and different kinds of things that you can do. And now trying to push that to the next level is tough.
My style today came to me when I was in Colorado. I was drawing in a condo after skiing all day, and it just suddenly like I just came up with this new kind of style, and then it just developed from there. But I don't like to think that I take too much influence from other guys or anything.
I think for me, like finding style was because in the time that I've been writing, so like I had all of the Toronto's styles at my disposal to check out and learn from, and you know, trying to figure out where I wanted to be. And obviously, like I would look up to like all the big names in Toronto. You know, you get guys like Globe and Quest, but those styles are so unique and defined that to even try and have a part of that, a piece of that cake, is just, you can't do it, man. But as I was trying to figure out what I was doing here, and then I went to Australia for 2 years, and the difference in your average style from here to there is just so vast and enormous that I started trying to take on some of the stuff that I had picked up there, and now I don't even know what I am. I'm somewhere in the middle. I got used to painting on a really large scale. Because where I was staying in Australia, they had miles upon miles of like legal wall space that you could just go anytime you wanted and paint, and they're really tall and huge spots. So I got used to painting at this scale that was just like, when I got back to the city and trying to paint with Will, it was like, he's like, yo, I got the spot, we can both paint on it, and I'm like, I'll fit, but I don't know where you're gonna paint. Like, so I don't know. I've been trying to figure out how to scale it back down again to be less of a wall hog. And it's also like, you gotta remember as well, right? We've spent like for me anyway, like 7-8 years perfecting your ability to do cool stuff with a can of spray paint, which is like, you can only go so small with that, right? But those skills that I've perfected with a can of paint and a cap are not translatable to a brush. Which sucks, because when you try to scale it down and make something on a smaller scale, man, it's really hard to show off.
One mural, one sick wall will last longer than 100 throws, you know? Like, people will remember that wall, but
Sure.
They're not gonna remember every throw you do. When the city cracked down on legals, then there's more bombing happens, and then now the city's loosening up a little bit on the graffiti. So now all the destruction that happened, there's all these walls that are now good to paint again, like do murals with pepper productions and shit.
when I sit at home and I work on my pieces or my intricate little lines and whatever, there's still like a full sketchbook of just like hand styles and throw ups and whatever. I don't get to go out and do that, but then I get to see other people who are doing that, and I have a lot of love for the grimy side, you know? A big part of it for us as far as trying to get walls is like, you need both sides. You need to have guys that are going out and tagging walls so that business owners will get pissed off enough to be like, okay, fine, we'll hire you guys to do a mural.
How do I get walls? I just door, knock on doors and fucking, just, try to convince them. Most times we don't actually get paid for them. Like nobody ever wants to pay. And then like we were talking about the city buying people. That always comes up in conversation. Like, oh, if we commission you and we pay you, then the city's just gonna fine us. Like, but it's really just door to door and trying to convince people.
Yeah, but we've gotten lucky in a few aspects too. Like, for instance, even the wall that we're working on now, we've been out there in the freezing ass cold every weekend that it's warm enough to paint. But every now and again, while we're working on a wall, someone will approach us and say, "Come paint on my wall," which works out really well too. Like the referrals is a big thing, I think, for us. People will put you on a timeline, which is fine as long as it's reasonable. But for the most part, I don't think it matters. For me, I think that there's something to be said for someone who can do something really nice, really incredible, and do it fast too. Like it's also really impressive. It also helps to know what you're doing before you get there. We did a wall just before the winter. That wall in the past has taken us like a solid week. Every day, don't go to work, just go work on that wall and get it done. And then this past year when we did it, we burned it out in like a weekend because we actually spent the time to draw everything out, then put it into the computer, and then he put in all the color and then sent it back and forth until we were like, okay, print it out, that's what we're doing. You have a map, you know where all your colors go, just go do that. And we got it done really quick and efficiently. But then at the same token, there have been days when we've gone out, got a wall, and then they said, yeah, go ahead, paint it. So we went home, got our paint, came back, no game plan, and just crushed it, and we're infinitely just as happy with the end game with that as well. So
5-minute discussion, what are we gonna do? Okay, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Or like just weird like softness type studio.
What do you think?
It's like then you can make them pretty like skinny and like wonky. I really don't want to spend my time drawing hands.
Back in the day when we first started, I would probably blow like $400 on paint, and that's like every 2 weeks, and we would go through it all. Now it's like we're trying as best we can to not spend any money on paint, in the sense that like we're pushing as hard as we can to have the property owners pay for it, or whoever's commissioning the wall, get them to chip in as much as we can, and then if we come away with extra paint that we can keep and use for ourselves, then we'll use that for our own projects.
Mostly that's our goal, man, just to get enough paint left over that we can go rock something else with it too. Because at the end of the day, it's just a hobby, really. Like, we just want to keep painting as much as possible.
You could go either way, man. You could just be like, I'm going to be a graffiti writer and I'm going to bomb shit and whatever. But that doesn't mean just because you're a bomber that you have to be some loser, you know what I mean? Like, you could have like a good job or whatever and still go out and bomb every night without being like addicted to drugs or whatever. Alternatively, you could be out doing, beautiful pieces and be a total cokehead and alcoholic or whatever, but none of that has anything to do with painting graffiti. Absolutely not.